let's just go ahead and knock this out right now. We can do some more maps and stuff after. That would be fun. We can test out how powerful our build feels in maps with LE weakness and resistance penetration, because we just got done doing Delirium phases 1 and 2, and I made some changes to the build that I haven't like super tested, but I can talk to you guys about them. But I guess when you're able to complete Delirium phases 1 and 2, that's at least pretty good, right? It's at least pretty good. Let's do what you usually do and start off talking about talents, I think. The main thing that has changed, though, is some gear stuff, so I almost would like to start off talking about my gear, because then that sort of informs some of the decisions we've made with my talents. Let's talk about gear first, if that's all right with you guys. So, my gear has changed fairly substantially, right? And before we really even get started, how do you have this extra inventory? This is the Titan Ascendancy Colossal Capacity, just so you know. Okay, so my weapon has upgraded quite nicely. This cost 60 divines, so it was not a cheap item, but it's a good one. It's a good one. We've actually repaired my divine situation pretty good too so far. So and that's even after I spent some divines trying to like gamble items today. So anyway, we have Skullbane, which, speaking of divines, could actually be divined further. You'll notice that like the adds physical damage roll and the increased physical damage roll are actually, we have a little bit of room to improve those. So I could use divines to try to, you know, change the values on the weapon and maybe get lucky. But right now it's doing about 900 physical DPS, and it gives me +4 level to all melee skills, which is great. The reason why this weapon isn't like 200 divines or something like that is because of the gain 66 life per enemy killed. If this was like crit damage or like stun duration or like strength, some of those things would be better. That I would like those things, but that ain't what we got. But this is pretty good. Big Fizz percent, Big Fizz flat. It's got the added Fizz accuracy hybrid, so it's pumping up the physical percent quite a bit more. And then, of course, you know, melee skills, attack speed. That's what I want on a weapon, so that's pretty dang good. That's going to serve me well for a little while. We still have my old weapon on my other set, though. This guy's hanging in there. I have not corrupted this weapon because, again, it costs 60 divines, and I wasn't feeling like bricking my new item yet, so. But we got this guy, too. It looks a little bit similar, right? Physical damage, flat Fizz. Just accuracy, not flat, not percent Fizz accuracy hybrid, but more attack speed, life leech. This one doesn't have life leech, but we do have life leech solved other ways. I'll talk about it in 1 second. So my helmet currently, this is not an insane helmet, but I wanted something that gave me life, a bunch of rarity, strength, and I needed lightning resistance, so we found this one and got it to go. It corrupted into nothing. It didn't do anything to it, which is, we would love to see 2 sockets there, but that's pretty cool. What's the shield? This shield is called the Surrender. A lot of people really like this shield. We got a relatively inexpensive version of it thanks to Hakushi. Just said, hey, try this out. So the block chance could be a little bit higher if it corrupted, but I mean, truly, this is pretty good block chance for what we get, right? So it could have more armor or something like that, but this just wasn't that expensive the way it was. But the 56% increased block chance is pretty dang good. I corrupted it myself, and it gave it another socket, which is why I'm even able to use this thing. My shield needs cold resistance on it for me to fit my resists, and now that it has 2 sockets, I can put 2 cold resistance thingies in there, and then I can put it on, and I have exactly 85% cold res, which is my maximum cold res, so it's a little tight, but it's working. My other shield, I actually sold my shield that had 2 sockets for 10 divine. I hope it's doing well out there. I hope it's serving whoever has it well. But this one has increased block chance, armor, max life, strength, additional Fizz reduction, and cold resistance. So it does everything my old shield did a little bit better, except for it corrupted for reduced attribute requirements instead of another socket. So we are losing a teeny bit of max life on this one. So I don't know. We would have had a nice even 7,000 life with the other setup, but this is fine. But this is what I have for my other set. The reason why I'm using Surrender is because of the recover 4% of life when you block. I was trying that out. I really wanted to try out Simulacrum. I wanted to see how that went, and I think recovering 4% of life when you block is pretty nice. I'm not 100% convinced that this is better than what I was doing before with my other shields, but basically I am reducing my defenses in the form of I'm taking a little bit more damage on a smaller health pool to recover my health more reliably, is basically how that works. And Mr. Wolby Boy, thank you so much, man. Big flex for you. Bringing it back around, man. Thank you, dude. So I think in Simulacrum, it seemed like it was probably helpful, maybe. It was all right. But we got that going for a little bit of life when you block, which is odd because my block chance isn't that high, but we'll talk about that in a second. So my amulet, I think I forgot to show my amulet in one of the videos. This one is a plus skills amulet with strength and chaos res and life. It has mana and energy shield on it, which I don't really need, but that's okay. It's giving me some dexterity, but what I want on there is a bunch of life, melee skills, strength, and chaos res, so that's great. That is helping me out beautifully. And I allocated Titanic, which gives me stun threshold, stun buildup, and percent strength, which is great. Not very expensive either. My chest piece, we changed what Warrior Invictus gave me. I wanted max life per socketed rune or soul core. I wanted elemental res per socketed rune or soul core. And so that's what we got. This is helping me solve my resists. My resists, again, are really tight right now. I am not LE weakness capped, which is a little bit freaky, but it's okay. This could be cool in the fact that we could get another one that's the same stuff. It just has another 50% increased armor evasion energy shield, which would be cool for just to be a little bit stronger. And how it has 5 sockets is it drops with 4, and then you quality it up, put a vol orb on it, and hopefully it corrupts into 5 sockets. That's how that works. And then you get all these bonuses for more sockets in it, right? So I have it socketed with max life, so it's giving me 35% maximum life, which is pretty crazy. That's one of the things that's making my life as beefy as it is, even though we brought it down a little bit with the surrender shield. My rings are pretty nice. The lightning damage doesn't do anything, but it's giving me a bunch of life. It's giving me a little bit of rarity. It's giving me some stats, and it's giving me LE res. I could improve this ring. There are a couple rings on the market that are just a basic upgrade to this. I just haven't got them yet. They're expensive, but I could get them. Just for a little bit more rarity, basically a little bit more LE res, which would be nice. But I've quality that for life, and since it's a breach ring, you can add even more quality to it, right? So it goes way higher life, which is insane with this particular breach ring, right? Increased cold damage doesn't really do anything for me, but it does give me a lot of life, a ton of rarity, a good amount of all res, chaos res, which is mandatory, and then look, it gives me leech, but because leech life is a life modifier, it gets benefited by the quality of life modifiers increases, so it's giving me 10% life leech, which is pretty crazy. And then the rings, both of these, all the effects on the rings get buffed by 75% because of my ingenuity belt. And this also gives me 2% to maximum fire resistance from the corruption. And this one gives me 75 increased bonuses gained from equip rings. This can go up to 80 on its own, and then you can corrupt it to make it go above 80, which is crazy. Quality just improves the stats. So this ring probably had like, you know, like 100 life on it normally, and then you quality it up to 150, right? So this had 102 life on it. Then you can quality it up to 150 life, right? And I could even use a divine on this, and it would increase its life. Like, you know, if it rolled better life, it could go crazy, right? So we could use divines on this item to make it substantially better, pretty much across the board. And I might even just do that. We'll see. This one, the normal life is kind of okay, but yeah, we could quality this one if we wanted to get more life on it as well. Or not quality, but divine it. But yeah, the belt's pretty cool. We could buy a better belt at some point. I mean, all of my gear has room to improve, so keep that in mind. These gloves are pretty neat. I bought them for 1 divine, and then I qualityed involved them, and they rolled a +1 level of all melee skills, which is pretty funny. The only thing that's weird about them, well, not the only thing, but one of the things that's weird about them is they do require a lot of dex. It's a pure evasion base, but it gives me a lot of life, a decent amount of rarity, +2 to all melee skills, and some attack speed. I've seen other gloves on the market that can give me similar kinds of things. I've bought 2 pairs of them, and both of them have not been better. They have not been better, but that's okay. We have some gloves that are okay, but they're not quite better than these ones. But I'm looking for them. One of them, it was pretty funny. I bought a pretty good pair. They would have been nice. They had accuracy, they had the skills, they had life, they had attack speed. I evolved it, and it turned the skills into mana leech, and it turned the accuracy into like more life. And so it took the 2 things that I really liked about the item and bricked it. So that was kind of sad. But Those are for sale, by the way. If anybody wants them, a couple divines, you can have them. And then another pair, kind of, they just weren't that good. They weren't quite good enough, I think, because they didn't have the melee skills. But anyway, we have some gloves for sale. The boots, they are giving me movement speed, life, rarity, strength, and a resist. Those are really nice too. All the way around. We want 35% movement speed. We want life. I need strength on most of my gear, and I like rarity on a lot of my gear now too. Just kind of helps us keep it going. My charm, I need to switch this charm back to a rarity charm. I was using this charm for Delirium, but now that we're not doing Simulacrum, we'll grab that. But that's where my gear's at right now. I use a flask that gains charges when I kill enemies, and I use that with instant recovery. I still like that. It kind of does this already because of my belt, but it's kind of nice to have instant recovery. But that's where my gear's at. Everything has room to improve. I'm mostly looking for like rarity, resists, life on armor, and I'm mostly looking for just big fizz and skills where I can get it, which is skills can come on necklace, gloves, and weapons for us warriors. That's my gear at the moment, though. So we don't usually start with gear, but that's what we're doing right now. Now we can talk about my skills, because you guys hear them playing in the background. They're popping off. We're just gaming today. Everybody's just hanging out gaming on the holiday. We've got life. We've got colossal capacity into hulking form, and we've got aftershocks from my Titan ascendancy. We have coming over the top, my mapping build has a little bit of extra like AoE. Basically my mapping build is the little red line, and my bossing build is the little green lines. Mapping build is really about trying to do more AoE, although I changed a few things, so I'll show you that. This is just nice though. Breaking more armor is important for my Stampede armor break thing. It's important for breaking armor to make Sunder do its guaranteed crit. I do like Sunder still. I've tried Earth Shatter a little bit. I still prefer Sunder. But anyway, that's the main idea with mapping, is doing more AoE, and you'll see that a lot. And then the normal line is just for both specs. So both specs have a little bit less attack speed, but more stun build up and damage with two-handed weapons. My mapping build has extra AoE after you stun something. Now I take all the strength in this whole wheel, because my Surrender doesn't have strength on it, so we need more strength. Take all the strength here, and we even went over here for armor, and then 15 strength. Defend with 200% armor against critical hits. Not really that great of a talent, but it's an easy way to get 15 strength for 2 points, right? So you can, and that's just how it is. You get armor and some other stuff, which is cool, but the main thing I'm here for is the 15 strength on easy access. So we go down here into my jewels. So I'm using jewels primarily to give me maximum resistances. I think maximum resistances are a really, really nice defense to have. All of my max resistances to elements are at least 85. My fire is even 87. Just kind of easy to get that. But I also, on my blue jewels, have a little bit of like life recoup and AoE are nice stats that you can get on the jewels. We also were able to corrupt some intelligence on there, so I can change some of these intelligence nodes to strength. I'm using intelligence nodes to be able to wear my chest piece. So you have 51 intelligence. This chest piece requires 51 intelligence. It's right on it. Right on it. All right. We'll talk about how my life is so high. This is a common question. So, Warrior Invictus, life on everything, hulking full or mysterious lineage, and then over here is this Time Lost Diamond. But we'll get to that in a second. That's life is high. Is from also 97 helps having your life be high too. So for my bossing build, I take a little bit of chance to inflict bleeding. I take some chance to inflict bleeding and empowered attacks dealing more damage, and chance to aggravate bleeds with empowered attacks and more empowered attack damage. We come over here. We'll just go down first, because this is kind of a cool little thing that we do down here. We get a bunch of stuff here to get to empowered attacks deal more damage, but I also have a time lost ruby right here, corrupted for a little bit more intelligence. So what this does is it increases the effect of small passive skills in the radius, and those are giving me also, they're giving me increased amount of life leech and increased damage against enemies with fully broken armor. Notable skills in the radius give me block chance. So what that means is my hulking form is getting some good value with these, right? So hulking form is buffing it, and so is this other thing. So you're getting 80% increased, I think, on all of these, right? Which is kind of nuts. So we're getting empowered attacks dealing more damage, 5% life leech instead of 3, which is pretty crazy. Archer knows when I'm recording videos, and they just yell as loud as they possibly can. They're popping off on their merge game right now. The 3% life and stun threshold. Where's that from? Oh, this little guy? Yeah, we'll go show that in a second. We're going down here first. But we have all of this giving me empowered attack damage. We have War Cries empowered additional attack, and this jewel is giving me all this stuff too. Now, I don't love that I went with this armor one again, but I'm trying it out. So it gives me more armor, and then we're getting the timeless buffs too for life leeched and damage against enemies with fully broken armor. Even though armor's not insane, I'm just going ahead and giving it some. This is life leeched and damage against enemies with fully broken armor. And then we're getting just a little bit more block with physical damage prevented, recouped as life. We were discussing today if blocking meant physical damage like was prevented. So if physical damage that you block gives you life recoup, that's kind of cool. I don't think I am obsessed with it, but I'm trying it. This might not last, but we're doing a build update. We're showing you what I'm working with. Then we do definitely enjoy this mace damage. So every little small node is getting a bunch of life leech. So we have like 40% life leech almost, which is pretty funny. And then a bunch more damage against armor broken targets. Things are frequently armor broken. And Sunder really likes hitting things hard with that are broken armor. And we're getting the aftershocks from Split the Earth and Mace aftershock chance. And then just more damage. Down here, we're going for the strength with reduced mana. We don't care about mana. We don't even use mana because of blood magic. That's another really common question. How do you not have mana? We'll talk about it, but I know it's a video with a lot of information, so if you miss it, there it is. We also are getting increased damage per strength, which is okay. I mean, we have almost 600 strength, so it's not a small amount, right? We're taking Giant's Blood so we can wield those two-handed weapons in one hand. Either use two of them or use them with a shield. I'm going down into the max res, where I get extra fire resistance for each 40% uncapped fire res. We're really not getting a whole lot of use out of this, but it is still giving me 4%, so we'll take it. We'll take it. Even right now with only 91, we're still getting an extra 4% max fire res, which brings it in line with the other ones. So then we're coming out here, another blue jewel, same thing. Max cold, life recoup, AoE. Taking one intelligence node to wear the chest. Coming down here for, mostly for polymathy. This one, so I'm getting some attack speed and max lightning res on the green jewels. Again, max lightning res is what we're looking for. A little bit of attack speed, a little bit of accuracy is nice. Evasion rating doesn't do much, but it's okay. Ideally, I would find one with higher accuracy, attack speed, max lightning res, and find something cool and then corrupt it for something cool on top of it, maybe more stats or whatever. Then we are coming down into polymathy for all the attributes, because we need all the attributes to wear our gear. And then the extra strength is cool too, for damage and health and stuff. We're coming up for more AoE on my mapping build. And then we go up here for more armor break duration, which duration doesn't matter. But just damage and armor break damage is good for breaking armor on bosses quickly. So like my little totem guy that we'll talk about in a second can smack bosses like once or twice. Their armor's broken. Hit him for like a 2 million Sunder. That kind of thing is pretty sweet. Jewel socket. So I was using a different jewel for a little while. But I wanted to go back to fire res instead of like bleed chance and duration. With rage on melee hit and just damage overall. It just felt kind of nice. And then for my bossing setup, we go for all the bleed chance, and we have a chance to aggravate the bleed. I took the duration stuff out, so we're not doing the hits aggravate bleeds longer than 4 seconds. We're just taking our chances with the bleed chance to aggravate. But we are taking the bleed chance overall, and then over here too. So, now we can go up. We'll talk about the stun threshold and strength. Strength is great, stun threshold is great, maximum life is great. This is our anoint. We anointed for Titanic, like I mentioned earlier. We're going up another blue jewel. You're going to see the same thing. Max cold res, life recoup, and AoE. Then for mapping, we go over here for more AoE, 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 AoE. And then a little bit of area damage as well. With stun build up is cool. Now, another thing you're going to recognize is more max resistances. So we have all of the elemental resistances here. And then we actually have all elemental resist here. With max elemental res and then 5 ele res along there. And then this big circle is another time loss jewel against the darkness. What I'm using right now is a +1 to maximum lightning resistance for every notable and +1 maximum life for every small node. So that's another one of those things that's padding my life quite a bit. In here, we are going for the rage thing. So we get a bunch of rage when hit. And then I also get armor increases based on the amount of rage I have. Most of my rage gain is from this. And then the 1 rage on hit jewel is also there too to help keep it going. And I have my totem that can give me rage, but this is the main thing. We also have this really cool node where you get armor when you get hit, and then you get a bunch of attack speed when you get hit, right? That's fun. So when you're in battle, you're running around with like 26% increased attack speed most of the time, which is sweet. I'm grabbing this just for a little bit more generic damage, but it works with my Against the Darkness, so we'll take it. Just damage, basically, and then it gives you life and stuff too, right? Then this one is AoE, AoE, AoE if you've killed recently into more damage. And then when that's my mapping setup, and then for bossing we have like close range damage. So if you can get right on top of the boss and Sunder and Hammer the Gods, it does more damage. That's how my talents are set up right now. I feel pretty okay with a lot of this. Something that I've done before, though, is maybe don't play this stuff and find some points so I can go into more attack speed, either over here with a blind, which is really fun, or you can take skill speed right here. I like that too. So if I feel like I'm playing kind of slow, then I'll do that. Sometimes I'll do that against bosses in particular. I really liked this setup. That's for 4 points, this is for 5 points. Those both feel really nice. The skill speed is cool because it makes your war cries and totem placement faster. This is kind of nice because it's even a little bit more attack speed. And you also blind enemies, it just costs 1 more point. So you can kind of play around with that if you wanted to shave some points off of like here. Like take these 2 points off and take points off of like 2 points from your 2 different weapon sets. You can do that, but that's how I have it set up for right now. In terms of my skills, to keep it rolling, we have my basic attacks. I don't really use them that much, but if I'm going to, this is what I do. We have Culling Strike, just fire damage, lifesteal, stunning more, and maim, which is just like a slow. Again, I don't really mace strike very frequently, but if I wanted to, that's what it would look like. We just whack an enemy and we'd bomb them. So which one is the one that's actually going to deal some damage? It's not this one, so let's put it the other mace strike. Is that right? Yeah. I don't actually want to do it this way, but that's fine for now. That's better than a fist attack. So my war cries, we have Seismic Cry, which you mostly use on a stunned enemy to give you the guaranteed aftershocks. You can also use it with Daze, which is right here, which makes it so that enemies are more vulnerable to stuns during that time, and you can spam that on bosses in the beginning to kind of start having your stun build up on them. I also use this with Raging Cry, so whenever I shout at a stunned enemy, it'll give me rage. So my combo once I stun something is usually Seismic, Infernal into Hammer, right? So I'll tell you why in a second, but this is going to give you like 16 rage against the boss, which is cool. I make it cost less, and I also actually have it aggravating bleeding on a heavy stunned enemy. So if they are already stunned and they're bleeding from Sunder, then you can shout one of these at them real quick and it'll aggravate the bleeding. There's an argument to be made to put this on my totem later on, but I mean, I could put that on my totem right now, actually. Maybe I will. But anyway, without having a 6-slot totem, you can put Rupture on Seismic Cry, and it'll aggravate your Sunder bleed at least. But there's another way to do it, and I think I might just do that right now, as a matter of fact, when we get down there. Because I found a perfect Jeweler's Orb yesterday, and I think it's going on old Toady Boy. And then we'll put Rupture on him. But if without that setup, that's what I do. Infernal Cry, this one is consuming rage, right? So we have it just in being empowered already. I have it having a slower or a shorter cooldown recovery rate, so I can use it more frequently. And then it does consume rage, so I use this shout on a stunned enemy to get 16 rage, and then it will consume 10 of it to make the next attack deal 30% more damage, which is why you want to Seismic before you Infernal, right? But you might have rage anyway because you've been in battle, but against the boss, that's kind of what you do. Leap Slam. Oh, and by the way, what this actually does is it basically gives you a % of your attack damage as more fire damage, depending on your power. And you can see that, like, the power means that depending on how powerful the mob is that you shout, it'll give you an empowered, like, effect for your war cry. Bosses always have 20 power. So against the boss, you're getting, what is it? 30% of damage is fire per 5 power. So when you yell at a boss, you're going to be getting 120% increased, or not increased, more damage, which is a big deal. It's multiplicative. All right, so Leap Slam. I have Leap Slam socketed up with faster attacks so that I can use it and have it go off a little bit faster. I have it socketed with Rage, which doesn't really do much for me, but if I ever do use the ability to hit something, it gives me some Rage, which is fine. The big thing is it has Holy Descent, which is making this beautiful little consecrated ground on the ground, which is healing me and reducing the effect of curses. So like Temporal Chains, if it's 15%, you do one of these, it's only 7 now. And then Despoiler makes this effect last longer. So you can kind of stand in your heal for longer, which is cool. Stampede is my main clear. When I'm charging around, this is what we're doing. I have this linked up with Momentum. I could probably put it in the order that I would recommend though, right? So like, it's just different because you might not even want to use Splinter in the beginning, but anyway, the way I have this set up is I have this doing more damage when I go to at least 2 meters, and you'll always go 2 meters unless you roll out of it, but then you're not doing damage with it anyway. So it does 40% more damage basically. It has a 25% chance to Aftershock, and we talk about this every video pretty much, but how Stampede always Aftershocks basically is you have 25% chance to cause an Aftershock from the support gem. You have 30% chance to cause an Aftershock from qualitying the gem up fully, so that's, what, 55%? Then you have another 20% from slam skills. You use yourself, cause Aftershock 75%, and then you have another 20% or so from this, 10% chance to cause an Aftershock here, and then I have 14% chance to cause an Aftershock here. So it's a 99% chance to cause an Aftershock when you add all those effects together. It won't always show on your thing, but don't worry about that, right? It says 75% chance to Aftershock, not the case. I don't know why it doesn't count it all up, but it doesn't. It just is what it is. But Aftershock chance being guaranteed from there. Then you have to have some way of breaking armor to armor explode. For me, I just use it by just doing damage. So I do enough damage that it will break armor and cause the guys to explode with armor explosion. And then I add AoE to it. Now, if you're not doing enough damage to cause them to explode from Splinter, what you can do is you can do it from stun build-up. This is kind of nice to take if you're going to use the stun build-up method. You can also scale armor break and do it with one of the... Where's this talent? This one. So break 50% of armor when heavily stunning an enemy. You can just do it with this and save yourself a support gem, basically. But you would need to have a bunch of extra armor break, like at least, you know, 100%, right? So it would break 100% of armor on heavy stunning an enemy, so you'd have to get that from your talent tree. But that is kind of another interesting way of doing that, but I just have it done this way. I break armor fully by doing physical damage. It explodes, does big fire AoE, and I have it just doing more AoE on top of that. And you can have even more AoE. Again, you'll notice that these 3 talents that I took to give myself a little bit more block and leech and stuff came from here. And I think I actually like this more, just for mapping in general, but because I have this time loss jewel, and because I was doing Simulacrum, which isn't really even that big of an area, I decided to drop these for this, for defense. And it got me through the Simulacrum, but this is really nice too, for the Aftershock and the AoE. But anyway, that's Stampede. I was using Herald of Ash, but right now I was using Scavenged Plating just to be more tanky. They buffed it. It was kind of nice for the Simulacrum. Then I have Time of Need for the same thing. I have it just giving me that heal. When you're using Blood Magic, I don't even know if I mentioned Blood Magic again when we were up here, but this is why I have no mana again. When you're using Blood Magic, especially with a lot of really like high plus skills, you are gonna chunk yourself pretty good on health. So having Time of Need, along with our other life recovery to kind of just give you a little chunk of health back, is actually pretty dang nice. So we went with a really defensive setup for Simulacrum, and that was part of it. Armored Plating, whenever you break armor, it gives you more armor, which is sick. Time of Need gives you a little heal, takes off elemental ailments and stuff. I have it proccing more frequently with Fast Forward. I have it giving me more recovery from life flasks. I have it giving me precision for accuracy. We still need accuracy. And I have it giving me 4% of life recovered on kill, which is sick. And by the way, we have persistence on Armored Plating. Hammer of the Gods. Big heavy hitter ability. We did bring its damage down a little bit from some of the stuff that we did, but it's okay. We have it doing a little bit of a slower cast, but hitting hard. We have it doing max physical damage. We have it consuming a little bit of rage to do more damage. And we have it putting a bleed on an enemy, and we have it actually also consuming a fully broken armor to do more damage as well. There's a little bit of anti-synergy with Sunder on that, because Sunder does that mechanic too. But you can kind of like let your hammer go off before you Sunder, and it'll consume the armor and do big damn. Sunder right now, we're having it do upheaval, so it does the 3 branching attacks. We have it doing brutality just for hitting harder, Because Sunder actually hits really freaking hard against bosses. We can kill bosses just with Sunder. We have Fist of War, so every once in a while when we do use Sunder, it'll do a big ol' red scary attack, which is cool. Against bosses, I will move maybe Fist of War into, I'd probably put Aftershock on there for like single target stuff like Arbiter and whatnot. We have it doing concentrated effect for more damage and a smaller AoE. The AoE is still pretty dang big, so we let that roll. And one of the coolest things about Sunder is it has a guaranteed crit for 100% like extra crit damage against fully armor broken targets. And that crit is guaranteed, so that we don't care about support skills have 20% less critical hit chance. We just get that free 100% increased critical damage bonus, so that's a 300% increased critical damage bonus, right? A little bit awkward right now. My accuracy is actually not capped, but that's fine. 95% has not felt bad, but I still would like to get 100. And then we have this little guy, Ancestral Warrior Totem, and we are going to live give this guy his upgrade because he has served us dutifully and served us well, and we are going to move Rupture down into him so that he can aggravate bleeds on stun targets. We are also going to give him the illustrious honor of a level 20 skill gem too, because he has just served us so dutifully. And there's nothing else that's really something that I want. I think that, yeah, he does a lot of extra base damage. Yeah, I want to do that. I want him to upgrade. Why are we like not able to do that? Let me upgrade my little guy. He deserves it. Why can't I click this? Oh, there we go. Oh, you know what? I think my thing was like, my little PoE trade thing was there, but it was hidden. Okay. So now he's jacked out of his mind. And when he whacks enemies, he will stun them for me. Which is pretty cool. Pump up, little fella. So we drop this little guy down on bosses. He will armor break the bosses for us. And he will do more armor break. He will also give me rage and health over time. From Font of Rage, Font of Blood. And then we also have Rupture, so that whenever he's whacking enemies that are stunned, we aggravate the bleed, which is a better way to do it as well. They fixed corrupted level gems as well. What does that mean? I haven't corrupted any gems. I'm too scared. But yeah, he's a plumper little fella, so he'll be doing big damage for us now, breaking armor and hammering fools. Let's see. With the skills covered and all that stuff, I think we're about good. We're not especially pressed for time right now, so I guess we can send a map. We're not really doing any crazy maps, but I guess I can show you what the gameplay looks like in a crypt. Let's see, this isn't. With Ellie weakness is gonna be a little bit freaky. We could try it out though. Get some rarity or something going on like that, right? I don't really like Ellie weakness, but I think it'll be okay. Ellie weakness unfortunately does bring my cold res down off of even like 75. What is an empowered attack? So like when I press this, you'll see we have two attacks that do have a special effect. So for Infernal Cry, what's going on with these guys? For Infernal Cry, it will do the extra fire damage, and for Seismic Cry, it'll give you the guaranteed aftershock. This is a weird one, man. We're all slow and stuff. Are we gonna get any mobs in this? I think there's like one mob. But whatever, we got the surrender shield now, so we have a little bit more like life on block, but I have less HP pool and stuff. But basically the gameplay for it in maps is just a whole lot of Stampede. If you ever find an enemy that's strong enough to survive your Stampede, they will be fully armor broken, and you can walk up there and whack them with a Sunder. Like these guys right here, they're not fully armor broken, I guess. We just whack them with a Sunder, take them out. If you want to, you can throw your little totem at him. But we'll have a boss to fight too. The boss might get decked, because he's just like a normal map boss, but still kind of nice. Yeah, it's a fun setup. If you find mobs that you don't really feel like dealing with, you just throw a hammer at them. Man, I'm slow though. This chilled ground is killing me. But it's a lot of AoE. When my stuff is all stacked up, we've got like 55% armor, which again is not much, but and armor is still not even that good. But the reason I was wearing Scavenge Plating is because I just wanted to have as much defense as possible for the Delirium, the Simulacrum. And we got the first two done without dying, so that's cool. I feel like that's like a good vote of confidence for the build's like overall like ability to deal with stuff. We also got the first two Arbiter's down, but I think Arbiter is mostly just like, don't stand in fire, you know? We definitely have the damage for Arbiter, but yeah, like having just like your pinky toe in a mechanic and then you die is pretty spooky. I feel like the shield with 3 sockets would be better than Surrender. Yeah, the reason I put on this one was for the 4% life recovery on block. We just had it. I said, this is the situation where I envision Surrender being useful. I don't necessarily think Surrender is like a categorical upgrade. But yeah, we could try the other shield too. We could. It would just have to have cold res on it. That's the thing, right? Who got buffed? Which one? The shield got buffed, or who got buffed? Interesting, yeah. We do have some options. I think just a rare shield that with good stats is like my favorite thing. But because of Simulacrum, I just wanted to try it out. Ooh, Arbiter got buffed? How so? I think it only change Arbiter needs is to maybe be able to survive like one missed mechanic. Instead of just like, your pinky toe is outside of the circle, you're just dead. I don't know. You need to have a little bit more time to move into those lines. That's what I need. That's spooky. I think that our damage situation is okay for Arbiter though. We're getting these little corrupted maps now too from our simulacrums. That's kind of neat, huh? It was basically that. Well, that's not a buff for him, is it? People gonna be updated on the website? Yeah, we can do that. So for this one, I can just swap into my other weapon set. You pre-buff with Thingo Cry as soon as he's attackable. You hit him with one of those to get him stunnable. Like I said, do the Infernal Cry after the Seismic Cry. And it's more damage than you need for like normal map bosses. But for Pinnacle bosses, it's not gonna be quite that easy to get him stunned. Although against the Arbiter, if I have Aftershocks going off on my early Sunders, I think even after he becomes a little bit more vulnerable to damage, I think at that point he can be stunned. So, yeah. Well, what's the change? So by you're saying he got buffed, you mean like he got buffed from our perspective, like he's easier now? Because if he got easier, I would think he got nerfed. But you're saying, yeah, he is now easier or harder? He's harder. Okay. So what did they do to make him harder? And when? Because with the new patch, I know they changed things. That was such a sad breach on this map. What the heck? Whatever. But that's the basics. Just stampede around when you find enemies that are strong enough, like a rare, to survive your stampede. Break their armor if you feel like it and sunder them. And then against bosses, bosses don't really, like map bosses don't really require Hammer the Gods. But because we could show you the nice little setup, I will. Pinnacle bosses will definitely take a lot of damage from Sunder, as long as you just like, you know, stay really close to them and smack them. Because that's not even with my +4 skills weapon, by the way, right? That was just my old weapon that we just chucked on. For fighting Pinnacle bosses, I will probably actually like put on my set, like my best weapons. I'll put that on the set too and just run it like that. But it's a pretty fun setup. No bosses or no mobs left. I'm gonna take a quick little gander. Again, if it's not an invite to the king, then we kind of just re-roll it. We're not gonna have enough to pick up the invite if we re-roll anyway, so this is what we're looking at here. Whatever. Yeah, okay. All right. Do a tiny little gameplay showcase, but guess what? There's a whole lot more gameplay on all the live streams that we do on YouTube. Just a whole lot of mapping, a whole lot of bossing. Like I said, today we did Simulacrum Waves 1 and 2. A couple days ago we did the Arbiter, but those will also end up on YouTube as well. So if you just got a hankering to see what the gameplay or what the build is capable of in other environments, just take a look at those videos and I'll keep the gameplay rolling, especially if you guys like the Path of Exile content. Show it some love so we can keep pumping. We got a little bit more time to game on stream, so we're going to do just that. But I wanted to record a little build update for you guys, show off the gear, show off the talents. Just kind of let you know where we're at right now, even though things probably still will continue to change here and there, especially this stuff. Not 100% convinced about this, but all in all, having fun. The base of the build is good, and we're going to keep progging it. We'll see you guys on stream.